Every school has that bathroom. The one nobody uses unless they're desperate. The tiles are cracked, the lights flicker. The stalls reek of mildew and rot. Ours was on the second floor, tucked away behind the science wing. The teachers kept it unlocked, but everyone avoided it. They said a girl had died there, that if you looked in the mirror too long, she'd look back. I didn't believe it. I never believed anything until I had to. It started after gym class. I was sweaty, sore, rushing to wash my face before the bell. The main bathrooms were packed, so I ducked into the old one. The smell hit me first. Damp, sour, like wet hair left in a drain. The fluorescent light above the sinks buzzed faintly, flickering every few seconds. I set my bag down, splashed water on my face, and looked up. The mirror was cracked. A jagged line ran through the middle, splitting my reflection in half. But for a moment, it wasn't my face staring back, it was hers. A pale girl with long, wet hair hanging in strings across her face. Her lips were blue, parted slightly. Her eyes, oh God, her eyes. Hollow, sunken, black as drain pipes. I gasped, stumbled back. The reflection shifted back into mine. My own terrified eyes. I laughed nervously, muttered something about Bloody Mary bullshit, and grabbed my bag. But just as I turned, I heard it. A drip, slow, steady, not from the sink, from behind me. I looked back. Water was seeping down the mirror, thick, dark, dripping from her eyes. I ran. For a while, I convinced myself it was nothing. A trick of the light. My imagination. But the next day it happened again. And again. Every time I caught my reflection in glass, I saw her. In windows. In phone screens. In the shimmer of polished floors, always behind me. Always watching. I stopped looking in mirrors. I stopped washing in public bathrooms. But it didn't stop her. At night, I'd hear water dripping in my room. I'd wake to find my carpet soaked, my sheets damp. I'd turn on the light, and there she'd be. In the mirror of my closet. Standing right behind me, I tried to tell my friends. They laughed. Said I'd been watching too many horror movies, so I brought them to the bathroom. Made them look at first, nothing. Just their reflections. They teased me, called me crazy, but then the lights flickered and she appeared. All three of them screamed. We bolted out, swearing never to go back, but it was too late. The next morning, one of them, Alyssa, didn't come to school. Her mom said she was sick. The day after, the second one vanished. Her parents filed a missing persons report. By the end of the week, the third was gone too. The school denied everything. Said rumors were spreading. Told us to stop talking about the bathroom. They taped it off, locked the door, but I still saw her. Everywhere. One night I woke to the sound of dripping again. This time louder, constant. I turned on the lamp. My entire floor was covered in water. My feet splashed as I got out of bed. The mirror across the room was fogged, streaked with condensation. I wiped it with my sleeve. She was there, not behind me, not in the distance, right in front of me. Her hands pressed against the glass, her nails black and broken. Her mouth moved, but no sound came out, only bubbles, thick and dark, rising from her throat. And then the glass cracked. A jagged line split down the middle. Her fingers pushed through, dripping water onto the carpet. The crack widened, spreading like veins. I screamed, stumbled back, tripped over my desk. The mirror shattered. Glass exploded across the floor. When I looked up, she was gone, but the water kept dripping. The next morning, I went to the principal, begged him to believe me, told him it wasn't just a story. He stared at me for a long time, his face pale, his lips trembling. Then he leaned close and whispered, "She doesn't stop. Once you've seen her, she doesn't stop." That was the only time he ever acknowledged it. After that, he pretended I didn't exist. Weeks went by. My grades slipped. I stopped sleeping. Every mirror, every reflection, every puddle of water showed her. Always closer, always watching, and then one night I woke choking. My lungs filled with water. I gasped, coughed, flailed in bed as ice-cold liquid poured from my mouth. My room flooded, rising higher, higher. I saw her then, not in a mirror, not in a reflection, standing at the foot of my bed. Her hair floated around her face, her dress billowed as though she were underwater. She reached for me, her lips moving silently. The last thing I saw before everything went black was her eyes. Hollow, endless, drowning me. When I woke, my room was dry. My sheets were soaked, but the floor was clean. My parents said it was a nightmare, but it wasn't, because now I can't see my reflection at all. Every mirror, every piece of glass, every surface blank. empty, as if I'm not there. But she is, always, smiling, waiting. Every school has hidden spaces, rooms without names, doors no one opens, corners students hurry past without realizing why. In ours, it was the janitor's closet at the end of the east wing. It was small, unremarkable, just a gray door with peeling paint wedged between the art room and the stairwell. But no one ever saw the janitor go in. No one saw him come out. He was just there, always there, sweeping the halls at odd hours, humming to himself. His name was Mr. Grady. At least that's what we called him. No one knew his first name. No one knew where he lived. The teachers didn't acknowledge him. They never spoke to him, never gave him tasks. He simply existed, like a shadow the school couldn't shake. I wouldn't have noticed except one night I stayed late. I was helping my chemistry teacher clean up after lab. Everyone else had gone. The halls were dark, the air humming with the sound of the old boilers. As I carried a box of beakers past the east wing, I saw it. The closet door was open. For the first time in my life, it was open. Curiosity burned. I set the box down and peeked inside. It wasn't a closet, it was a hallway. Long, narrow, stretching far deeper than the building should have allowed. Dim bulbs flickered on the ceiling, casting sickly yellow light. The air that rolled out was damp and cold, smelling of bleach and rot. Then Mr. Grady appeared. He was standing in the hallway watching me. His coveralls were stained, his gloves damp, his face expressionless. "You shouldn't be here," he said softly. His voice was raspy, almost apologetic. I muttered an excuse and stammered, tried to back away. But his eyes, they held me. "Once you've seen it," he whispered, "you can't unsee it." Then he shut the door. I stood there for what felt like hours, my heart thundering. When I finally worked up the nerve to touch the knob again, it was locked. Just a closet again, mops, buckets, bleach. But that night I dreamed of the hallway. I walked it endlessly, the lights buzzing above me, the floor slick beneath my shoes. Doors lined the walls, each one unmarked. Behind them came sounds, scraping, sobbing, laughter that wasn't laughter at all. And somewhere ahead, always just out of reach, I heard Mr. Grady's humming. The next day I confronted him. Asked what was down there. He froze, broom in hand, and for the first time he looked scared. "Don't go back," he said. "Please don't." But I did. That Friday, after everyone left, I returned. The door opened easily this time, almost as if it had been waiting. The hallway stretched before me, silent, empty. I stepped inside. The air grew heavier with every step. The lights flickered, buzzing, dimming, threatening to go out. The doors pulsed faintly, as if breathing. I pressed my ear to one. A voice whispered back, not words, just a sound. Wet, hungry. I staggered back, heart racing. That's when I noticed the floor. It wasn't concrete. It was soft, damp. When I lifted my shoe, it left an imprint and dark water seeped up from the mark. I wanted to run, but the hallway stretched longer now. The door I'd entered through was gone. Only more flickering bulbs, more endless doors, and then I saw him, Mr. Grady, standing at the end of the hall. His face pale, his hands trembling. "I told you not to come," he rasped. His eyes darted nervously to the doors. "Now it won't let you leave." The doors began to rattle. One by one, chains clanging, wood splintering, fingers clawing through cracks. Pale hands, thin and dripping, reaching, I ran, straight toward him. He grabbed me, pulled me through a door I hadn't noticed before. Inside was another room, small, circular, the walls lined with shelves of jars. Hundreds of jars, each one held something, teeth, fingers, eyes, floating in cloudy liquid. My stomach heaved. My vision swam. I turned to him, gasping, demanding answers. He sighed, shoulders slumping. "They were students. Long ago, before your time, before mine." His voice cracked. "The school was built on something it shouldn't have been. And it feeds." My skin went cold. "Feeds?" He nodded slowly. "On you, on all of you. Fear, flesh, memory, it doesn't matter. The building keeps what it wants. My job is to keep it quiet, to clean up after it." He looked at the jars with dead eyes. "To make sure it doesn't get too hungry." The walls shuddered. The shelves rattled. One of the jars fell, shattered on the floor. A hand twitched in the broken glass. Mr. Grady grabbed my arm. "Run!" We fled down another hallway, the doors slamming open behind us. Figures spilled out, children, teachers, half-formed things, skin sagging, eyes black, mouths stretched too wide. They crawled on the floor, clawed the walls, shrieked with voices that made my ears bleed. We burst through a door, and suddenly we were back in the janitor's closet. Mops, buckets, the faint buzz of fluorescent lights. He shoved me out, slammed the door shut and locked it. His hands shook. His face was gray. "You can't come back," he said, his voice broken. "If you do, it'll take you." I nodded, trembling, tears streaking my face, but later that night, when I passed the school on my walk home, I saw him, Mr. Grady, standing at the window of the East Wing, watching me, his eyes hollow, his mouth moving silently. I couldn't hear him, but I knew what he was saying. It's already too late, and now when I close my eyes, I hear the doors rattling. I hear the whispers. I know they're waiting for me, and sometimes, when I pass a closet, any closet, anywhere, I hear his humming. There's a room in my school no one talks about. Not because it's locked, not because it's forbidden, but because everyone pretends it doesn't exist. It's at the end of the third-floor hallway, tucked behind a row of lockers. If you're not looking for it, you'll never see the door. Your eyes slide past it. Your mind forgets it, but I saw it. The first time was when I was a freshman. I was late for class, running through the third floor when my shoelace snapped. I knelt, cursing under my breath, and when I looked up, there it was, a wooden door, faded green paint, a brass knob that looked older than the building itself. Room number 6B, something about it felt wrong. Like it shouldn't be there, like it was borrowed from another place. I tried the handle. Locked. When I asked a teacher about it later, she frowned and shook her head. "There is no 6B, she said. "You must have misread," but I hadn't. I kept seeing it. Not every day. Not even every week. Just sometimes. Always when I was alone. Always when the halls were quiet. And each time the door was closer. At first it was behind the lockers. Then months later it was beside the water fountain. By sophomore year it had crept across from my English classroom. Always waiting. Always locked. By junior year I stopped mentioning it to anyone. People looked at me strangely when I asked. Even my friends grew uncomfortable, as though I'd said something I shouldn't have. But then one night I stayed late. I'd fallen asleep in the library, head buried in notes. When I woke, the school was empty, silent, the windows dark. As I walked the hallways, trying to find the janitor or an unlocked door, I saw it again, room 6B. Only this time the door was wide open. Inside, the classroom glowed faintly as if lit by candlelight. Dust hung in the air. The smell of chalk and mildew seeped out. My heart told me to run, but my feet carried me inside. The room was wrong. It was larger than it should have been. Much larger. The walls seemed to stretch, bending in ways my eyes couldn't follow. Desks sat in neat rows, but they weren't the plastic and metal ones we used. These were wooden, old, scratched with initials and carvings. On the chalkboard, faint words lingered. "Do not forget us." I stepped closer, breath shallow. The air grew colder, heavy, almost liquid. My reflection swam faintly in the glass windows, but it wasn't alone. Behind me were children, dozens of them, their faces pale, their uniforms ragged, their eyes black pits. I spun around, nothing. The room was empty, silent. But when I looked back at the board, new words had appeared, scrawled violently in chalk. "You see us. You remember." The desks scraped, slowly, as if pulled by invisible hands. They turned one by one until they all faced me, and then I heard it. Whispers. Soft at first, then rising, circling the room. My name, my secrets, my fears. Things I'd never told a soul, spilling from mouths I couldn't see. I clamped my hands over my ears, but it didn't stop. The voices slid inside my skull, writhing, multiplying. Then the chalk squealed. My eyes snapped to the board. Words carved themselves deep, gouging through the surface. "Sit." I don't know why I obeyed. Maybe I didn't have a choice. My legs buckled. I dropped into the nearest desk. The whispers stopped. Silence smothered the air, and then the bell rang. Not the current bell. Not the digital chime we all knew. This was old, mechanical, rusted. The sound of a school long dead. The door slammed shut, and they came in. The children, pale, hollow-eyed. They shuffled in rows, filling the seats around me. Their uniforms were decades out of date, tattered and blood-stained. Some had broken necks, Some had missing jaws. One still dripped water onto the floor. They sat. They stared. They waited. Then from the corner of the room a figure emerged. The teacher. Her hair was gray, her face gaunt, her skin stretched thin across her bones. She carried no books, no papers. Only a ruler, splintered, stained, her eyes locked on mine. "You're late," she rasped. Her voice was dry as dust. I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. My throat closed as she slammed the ruler against the desk. The sound cracked like thunder. The children flinched. Their mouths opened. And they screamed, not words. Just endless, agonized screams. I covered my ears, shrieking back, but the sound drilled into me, tore through me. The walls shook. The windows shattered inward. Shards of glass floated in the air like frozen rain. Through it all, the teacher leaned closer. Her breath reeked of soil and rot. "Lesson 1, she whispered. "No one leaves this class." The ruler stabbed down. Pain tore through my hand. I looked down. Blood welled from a fresh wound, deep and jagged as if carved by nails. But it wasn't my blood that frightened me. It was the symbols burning into my skin. Numbers, letters, a mark I didn't understand. The children fell silent. Their heads turned in unison, staring, waiting, and then slowly they began to smile. I bolted. The door was gone. The walls stretched endlessly, desks multiplying, corridors blooming like tumors. I ran, breath ragged, vision warping. No matter how far I went, the board was always ahead. Always screaming new words. Stay. Learn. Join us. I don't remember how I escaped. I woke in the hallway, sprawled on the floor, blood still dripping from my hand. The door to 6B was gone, but the mark remains, and the worst part? Sometimes when the bell rings between classes, I hear another. That old mechanical bell calling me back. And every day the mark burns hotter, sharper like a teacher's reminder. Like homework unfinished, and I know, one day soon, I'll have to go back to class.